These are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining our California Broker Business Accelerator this morning. We have our Northern California broker Jeff Green, Riverside Temecula broker Mary Jane Morris, and our San Diego broker Tom Bullock with our guest speaker Richard Tibbitts. Before we begin today, I do want to show you guys a few updated features that we have in the AGI University portal. So the first thing you'll see here when you go to AGI University dashboard is the banner here. If you click on this banner, it will take you to our newsletter, which has all of our upcoming events in your area and other important information. We do send these out every 2 weeks, so you want to make sure you're checking your emails for those. The next thing I want to show you on our AGIU is our instant chat down here. If you have a question and you need a quick answer, you can always click on this orange bubble here and you will be able to speak with a corporate team member instantly. Another thing that I want to mention is that we are having a happy hour photo shoot at the corporate office in Carlsbad on March 9th at 4 p.m. We will have free food, drinks, and if you are in need of a new headshot, we are having a photographer taking pictures for our agents. This event is free, so if you are in the area, you are welcome to join us. So I would now like to introduce Tom Bullock. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Today I would like to just kind of touch base regarding addendum, the use of an addendum. Once a residential purchase agreement is signed and presented to the seller for their approval, and they approve the purchase agreement, that is the agreement. In other words, the only action that can take place that would alter that agreement would be for the parties to write a detailed explanation as to what the change will be, and both the buyer and the seller must execute that in order to make it supersede the residential purchase agreement as originally purchased. Not crossing out the contract and inserting other language or changing the concept or approval what is to take place, and not coming to an agreement by way of email or through verbal communication will alter the RPA as it's written. So keep in mind that every time you change a concept or an agreed upon portion of the residential purchase agreement, it must be followed by a signed addendum outlining the change in the agreement between the buyer and seller. So with that ends that portion of our program today. I also wanted to touch base today on the success of our business. Today's March 1st, so we're into the final month of our of the first quarter of this year. So I want everybody to reflect back on what we were talking about in October and November regarding a business plan. Where do you stand? And I asked Rick Tibbitts today to join our conversation. Rick is a very successful agent here in San Diego. He's been in the business a long time and has developed very successful business practices and habits that has lent itself to his success. Rick, first of all, I want to say good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Tom. Thanks for inviting me.
And so going forward, I'd like to just explain to us what one aspect of your business you like to zero in on and that you find yourself being quite successful at. So I'll turn it over to you now, Rick.
Thank you, Tom. Well, I came into the business 8.5, maybe 9 years ago, and that certainly was at the bust time of real estate. And when I came in, I shadowed a number of people and just looked at what they were doing. Some were doing cold calling, and I did that for a period of time. Some door knocking, and did that. And I know all of those things are, if you're diligent, put down things that will make you a success. For me, I just found that open houses was really going to be something that I felt that I could do comfortably. I'm a one-on-one, face-to-face sort of person, and so pretty quickly I dedicated myself to making open houses kind of my ticket into real estate. For the first 3 years, I did them religiously. I'd do at least an open house once a week, and in some cases I was doing them even on weekdays or weeknights. So about 6, maybe even as many as 8 a month is what I did for 2, maybe 3 years. For me, as a new agent, I didn't have any of my own listings, so I really was relying upon, in some cases, people in my own office, who had listings that I could help them with their open houses. But to be honest, my goal, of course, the location in real estate is everything, and with open houses, that's true too. And so I kind of quickly decided to kind of open the doors altogether, and I would call or contact any agent in my area, specifically my neighborhood, to see if I could hold their houses open. My focus really became even more so on the vacant homes. I was getting a lot more yeses from agents who had listings because I wasn't a threat, not being directly in communication with their sellers. And as I said before, I really focused on location, for my open houses. So that's really what's kind of kept me moving along. The biggest key for me, really, in the success are 2 things: is signs. Number 1, I put out between 40 and 50 signs for each of my open houses, and I spent a lot of time just studying each area, that I'm going to hold an open house. If it's more than 2 turns off of a main street, those were, homes I just wasn't interested in. My goal is not only to get, buyers and potential sellers to come to the open house, but it really was just to make my name a known entity. And they talked about being a secret agent, and that was something I wanted to make sure I wasn't one of. I wanted people in my community to know me, hopefully by name and by face. And so, my success, I think, also has come just by overwhelming, I guess, if you will, the competition. And I knew that not having listings, I wouldn't have a sign out in front of a house that was mine, but I knew if I had 40 signs out on a weekend that I was just as present and maybe even dominant over some of the other agents that have been, in real estate for many, many years. So I guess to, kind of align myself with the agents in the area also, I just work extra hard to make them happy. If I could get those agents to want to work with me, pretty soon, instead of me looking for open houses started finding me. Agents who were happy with what I did for them before would call me when they had a listing. Trying to keep the agents I was working for, essentially, since I wasn't working for my own clients, happy, also kind of helped me build my open house business. My primary goal really for open houses was to build my database. I came in with a very small database, and I knew that that was going to be the key for future success. So at every open house, like everybody has, I'd have a sign-in sheet. I wasn't really and have never been an aggressive seller. In other words, I know some agents require that everybody who walks through the door sign a sign-in form. For me, I've always been kind of more a little bit laid back, and I guess you can make an argument whether that's the best way to approach things, but I would hear many people say they chose me specifically because I wasn't, it give them the feel of a used car salesman, an aggressive salesman. So that being said, I think what else here, guys?
Yeah, one thing you did point out, Rick, that I think is worth hammering home here a little bit is you indicated that when you set up to do an opening for an open house, you put out around 40 signs. I find that so many agents try to take the shortcut and only put out a couple or a few signs. Would you kind of drill into that a little bit?
Well, I think the biggest deterrent of agents doing open houses really comes down to their reluctance or just not wanting to deal with that part of it. But in past open houses where there's been advertising that's been done in the newspaper, and on all of my open houses, of course, I post through Craigslist and Zillow and wherever I can to get word out about the open house. But when I ask visitors, well, how did you come to find the open house? 9 out of 10, it was all about the open house sign. So yeah, shortcut there. Know that there's some ordinances that in some cities, that you have to be particularly cautious of. Where I'm located, there's not been really any issue. I try to be not overzealous in any one location, but in any case, shortcutting on signs, I think would just diminish the attendance substantially. But even more important than signs, I know that some agents come to open houses thinking that at the conclusion of the open house, you determine its success by if they have a client today or tomorrow that they're going to work with. And what I found, typically open houses, the turnaround from the day that you first have your open house till you really see the fruit of success from that, it can be months, in some cases even years. And so persistent follow-up is probably the most important key. Is getting them into your database, and then based upon the urgency that they showed at the open house for entering into the market, I would have tasks that would be consistent with that. In some cases, it might be that I would be following up once a week with that new prospect. But in other cases, it might be that I'd be following up just 4 times a year. If they had credit issues and it made it clear that today, tomorrow, or next month wasn't the time they're going to be buying, I would just drip on them, kind of on a very periodic basis until I would see that their interest was beginning to spike.
There's so much of your presentation, I could ask you 1,000 questions right now, but I just really want to drill into one more item, and that is, you mentioned that when people come in the door while you're at the open house, you're just yourself. You don't pretend to be a high-pressure salesperson or try to be something you're not. Would you just talk about how you feel comfortable in dealing with people and approaching people in an open house with that concept in mind?
Sure. I know there's probably a lot of different ways to approach a customer when they first walk into the home. For me, I'm not the agent that walks them from room to room to room and pointing out this is the kitchen and this is the bathroom. I initially try and engage them on a personal level. Are you from the neighborhood? They have kids and they're wearing sports attire. I try and engage them because I was active with my kids in sports. Whatever I can do to kind of connect with them. I spend just a few moments doing that. I know they didn't come to the open house to chat with me. They came to the open house because they're interested in perhaps buying a home. So I engage them briefly at that point. In fact, that's not even the point that I initially asked them to sign in. I know that's probably backwards from what is the norm. But I wait until I've had a chance to develop a relationship. As they're kind of going through the house, I might visit with them just very briefly. But normally it's not until the time that they're wrapping up that I'll engage them and really try to then gather their data. See, another big goal is to try and get them on an MLS search. And that's really the best way for me to gauge their interest, is if in checking daily the activity, if I see someone that's very frequently looking at listings, that kind of opens the door for me to call them, or if I don't have a phone number, to email them, just to check in, to bring them or make them aware of any particularly great listing that I think they might be interested in. But yeah, I've had so many clients, kind of affirm that the reason they chose me was I just wasn't a in-their-face agent. So I don't know. It's one of those balance things that perhaps I should be a little more aggressive, but it isn't who I am.
Very good. The other aspect I'd like to just kind of highlight here regarding Rick's presentation is what he kind of said at the end there, persistence. When you do your follow-up after a open house, just stay with the people that have given you their names and their phone numbers. Make them a part of your circle of influence and future business. You be polite, be professional when you reach back and try to contact them, but also be persistent, because that is the key to success in this business, is staying in touch with those that know you, that trust you, that like you. And if a person gives you their email or a phone number, they trust you. They like you. They wouldn't do that if, particularly here in Southern California, if they didn't care for you, if they wanted nothing to do with you. So please keep that in mind as well. Rick, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your presentation. You did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Just in our closing here, I did a posting on our San Diego Allison James website yesterday on Facebook, and my posting was, are you treating your business like a business? As I mentioned earlier today, in October and November we were talking, or I was talking about building a business plan, because without a business plan you will not know what the road to success will be for you in 2017. You're just kind of wandering around hoping to be successful. For business success, in my opinion, now that we're at the end of the first quarter of 2017, do you know your numbers? What is your first quarter 2017 numbers? What was your first quarter 2016 numbers, and how do they compare? Are you on schedule right now with your 2017 goals? If so, congratulations, great job. If not, what plan do you have to get on schedule so you can meet those goals by the end of the year? What are your second quarter 2017 projections? Do you know what your second quarter 2016 numbers were, and how do they compute? How do they compare? What activities did you do in 2016? And now that we're into 2017, what more do you need to do to achieve more than what you did a year ago today? Just keep in mind one thing, to keep your eyes on the numbers. It really works in this business. And also please keep in mind, we here at Allison James believe in you, and we expect every one of you to succeed, and always know that we're here for you. In terms of, if you're behind on your schedule and you're trying to scratch your head and say, now what else do I need to do to get myself back on schedule and to be the success I want to be in 2017, I've got two suggestions for you. Number one is reach out to your broker here in California, whether it's Omar, Jeff, or Mary Jane, or myself. Reach out to us and let's sit down and brainstorm as to what you might do to step up your pace, step up your level of success. The other suggestion I have is, there is a book out there called The Compound Effect. It's by Darren Harding. Those of you that follow Brian Buffini are already aware of this book. It's an excellent book. It's a quick read, and I would it will help you jumpstart your income, your life, and your success. This is geared towards every aspect of your life: business, personal, health, everything. So again, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy would be a read that I would highly recommend for each of you. That concludes my presentation for today. Sheena, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you everyone so much for joining us. Do any of the other brokers have any questions for Tom?
I just want to say thanks, Tom. That was an excellent presentation, and we'll be applying it here with our local agents. And again, thank you. Man, that was fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, well, thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We would like to give a huge thank you to Tom for another great California Brokers Business Accelerator, and a big thank you to our guest speaker, Richard Tibbitts, for joining us today and giving a wonderful presentation as well. We hope to see you all next time, and have a great day, everyone.